Welcome to the Porn Reboot podcast, where you get practical tips to gaining control over your porn or sex addiction. We help ambitious men end their out-of-control sexual behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation so that you can maximize your life, perform at your potential, and remain in control in the driver's seat, which is where you have to be in order to gain or maintain the success you want in life. I'm your host, J.K. Emezi, certified sex and porn addiction recovery coach. Welcome to the episode. Today we're going to talk about core beliefs, and this is based on a training I did with our clients in the intensive program. I'm not going to go as in-depth. It was very interactive, but hopefully this is something that really helps you in your reboots. Core beliefs are conscious or unconscious messages that we hear about ourselves, about other people, and the world. And what these core beliefs do is that they influence almost all the assumptions that we make. These assumptions that we make about ourselves, about other people, and about the world around us, they create negative thoughts. And these thoughts are very automatic, okay? So when I talk about core beliefs, there's nothing wrong with core beliefs in themselves, as I will demonstrate shortly. But there is something wrong with faulty core beliefs. When you have healthy core beliefs, they do influence your assumptions, but they often lead to positive thoughts. It's the faulty ones that lead to negative thoughts. Before I give you examples of these, I want to break something down because you'll hear so many people who talk about pornography and sex addiction allude to the mysterious root cause. And if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you understand that I'm not a big fan of this whole root cause thing. Here's the deal, okay? Imagine that there is an iceberg, okay? And the analogy of the iceberg being only a small percentage of it is visible and everything else is below the surface. Well, just imagine that the top of that iceberg are your behaviors and your habits. And right below the iceberg, the rest of the iceberg, the massive part of it, are your negative thoughts. And then below the negative thoughts, even deeper, are your assumptions. And right there at the bottom, deep in the sea, those are your actual core beliefs. Now, you've heard me say that in order to end your behavior with pornography or sex addiction, you first need to address your habits, then your lifestyle, and then your self-image. Your habits are on the surface. Your habits and your behaviors are the things that you can actually see. They are the things you can address. So what happens when you become a part of a program that focuses on habits? Well, immediately you feel better because you have better habits. You notice your behavior changing. For instance, you might notice that, I have better habits with my phone and I am slipping or relapsing less because I am no longer accessing social media in the middle of the day or doing so as a knee-jerk reaction. I have very strong boundaries. That's a habit I've set up. Now, you might mistakenly think that, I'm done with my behavior. It's so crazy, JK. All I needed to do was set boundaries, stay off social media, and just have this habit of going to bed early, waking up in the morning, doing my morning routine without touching my phone first, and I think I'm good. No, brother, you did not struggle with this behavior for years and years and years, only to have it fixed because you changed a couple of habits. Beyond that, there are negative thoughts that led to the habit. If you do not understand what those negative thoughts are, then what's going to happen is weeks or months down the line, when those same negative thoughts come up again, you'll be surprised. You wonder, my goodness, how did the behavior change? I thought I had this new habit ingrained. How come that in spite of having this habit for such a long time, I broke the healthy habit? See, we have this training, we have this assumption that when we form a habit, it just stays with us for life magically. The truth is, a habit is quite consistent, but we've all broken habits. We've broken good habits and we've broken bad habits. What would cause you to break a good habit? Well, a particularly negative thought can cause you to do that. And that negative thought, don't worry about it. I'm going to give you very clear examples. That negative thought is based on something else. Before that negative thought affected your habit or your behavior, you made an assumption about something. That assumption triggered a deeply powerful negative thought. But where did the assumption come from? How did you just make an assumption about something? Well, That assumption came from one of your faulty core beliefs. Okay. So let's talk about those faulty core beliefs that I keep bringing up. Your faulty core beliefs begin in childhood. Okay. And they are reinforced over and over again by you finding proof of them. So I'll give you a couple of examples, but I will use myself as an example. When I was growing up, one of the messages that I got was that everybody watches pornography or has sex. See, I was so attached to this idea. I remember before I hit puberty, everybody in high school, not in high school, yeah, in high school, middle school, a lot of people in middle school had started hitting puberty and then going into high school. And I was a late bloomer. So I could see, like, oh, all these girls are developing curves and all these things, and the guys are getting facial hair and their voices are getting deeper. And I would look at myself in the mirror and I'm just like, what the heck? I'm still a kid. So everybody in my classroom around me seems to have grown up faster than me. And then the next thing, they started talking about masturbating and dating, and I was still doing childish things. But I became very self conscious, and this core belief started that everybody was having sex. And, guys would tell stories and lie. You know how you are in high school, just lying about all the things you did with girls. And I would feel so jealous because there were girls that I had crushes on. And in my head, I truly believed the lies these guys were telling, that they were having sex with all these girls. That was the beginning of this core belief. And bear in mind that I was a person who grew up, I wasn't doing well in school, had a bunch of learning disabilities, already had a pretty low self esteem. So to start feeling that, wow, I am behind in yet another thing, not just in my schoolwork and my academics and my social life, but I'm behind in this sex thing and this growth thing and this thing that all of them are experiencing. Like I would see in school, I would see girls checking out guys. Like, when a guy had a growth spurt over the summer holidays and he would come back and he was like taller and more jacked, I would see all the girls giggling, including the girls I had crushes on, looking at him because he was so manly now. And I was there just like a little kid. And this would crush me on the inside. And that belief was born from there. Now, fast forward a couple of years later, I'm in my late teens, early 20s. And at this point, I'm not having sex. I'm a virgin. I'm awkward. I have all these issues, including my addiction to pornography. And now this core belief is doubled down on that everybody is having sex. I'm in college and I know for a fact people are having sex. I meet people and they have sex. My roommate comes in one day in my dorms and he's like, "Bro, I just had the greatest sex ever, man. I've been on such a long streak of not having sex." And I'm there just lying to him, acting like, "Oh yeah, bro, I have sex too." Very strong core belief. So what does that core belief do? A core belief, like everybody does it, everybody masturbates, everybody views pornography, everybody has sex, leads to the assumption that everybody around you is having sex. And this assumption, again, remember I said your core belief, your faulty core beliefs influence assumptions that you have about yourself, other people, and the world around you. You start assuming in a faulty and wrong way. I started doing this, that everybody around me was having sex. And what did this lead to? It led to negative thoughts. Negative thoughts like, I am unattractive. I will never have sex. I will always be the little immature boy whose balls hadn't dropped and who hadn't got facial hair. And I was never going to get this. This was repeated to myself over and over and over again. And brothers, it becomes automatic. The negative thought leads to a negative behavior and habit. Sometimes that negative behavior and habit could be isolation. Sometimes it could be seeking out sex and paying for sex, not because you don't want to approach women and talk to women, but just simply because you believe that you are unattractive. You believe that you'll always be that little boy. Brother, one thing, in case you think this is ridiculous, remember, faulty core beliefs are conscious and they are unconscious. Many of them are unconscious. They are driving your assumptions, your thoughts, and your behaviors. And what we do here at Porn Reboot is we bring these things to life. I'll give you guys another one. Some of the brothers in our group had one like, you have no self-control. I also had this core belief. An example would be like my mother saying, like, she would leave the house and then I would find out that there was cookies in the house. Or I would see she came back with groceries and I see she had some candy. But she wouldn't tell me she had the candy. But the moment she was out of the kitchen, the moment she was out of the house, I knew there was candy in that house. And I would find it and I had no control. I would eat one or two, but before the end of the day, I would just eat everything and leave like two pieces left. And I remember my mom saying, like, JK, you have no self-control. And she would tell my dad's name was Peterson. He had an old school name. She's like, Peterson, the boy has no self-control. And I was there in shame, feeling like a glutton, feeling so greedy because I ate all the candy. I didn't leave anything for my sisters. I didn't leave anything for my mom and dad. And then that belief was deeply rooted in me as a result of the shame that you have no self control. And so what happens? Later in life, that core belief shows up. The assumption is I have no self control over anything. Like I don't have self control, or something like I have an addictive personality. Gentlemen, there's nothing like an addictive personality. Okay. That is from a core belief. A core belief is that I have no self control, and it was unconscious. And so it would play itself out anytime I was craving something. A statement related to you have no self control would pop up, and right away I would engage in that craving over and over again. So you can start imagining, outside of even pornography addiction, how this can sabotage your life. Some of you are struggling financially because of your faulty core belief. You're like, why is it that anytime money enters my hand, it immediately disappears? I used to think it was because I was broke, but then 5 years, 10 years, 20 years later, the same thing is happening. How is that even possible? There is a faulty core belief. Why is it I can't stay in a relationship? Why is it all of my relationships end the same way? Why do I seem to sabotage certain things? Why do I keep going back to certain habits? Those of you who are quite successful, which is a good portion of you listening to this podcast, you have a core belief that says people will like me if I work hard, if I have more money. And you saw that. You saw that maybe you watched a movie or your dad said something or somebody said something, and you looked at them as a child and you were like, you know what? The people who get all the love are the people who have money, the people who have material things. Or you saw your mother leave your dad or your dad leave for somebody else, and your parents told you something. Somebody could have told you, your mother could have told you, men ain't shit. Men are useless. Men are this and that. And you didn't even realize you internalized that core belief. And what do you become? You become a nice guy. You become a man who watches submissive pornography. Why? Because men are shit. Men ain't shit. Men don't take care of your kids. Your dad's a fucking loser. Your dad's a fucking deadbeat. You take in that message and then you wonder why you find yourself in a hotel somewhere getting dominated by a woman you paid to do that. Core belief, or why you gravitate towards that sort of pornography. Okay, gentlemen, there are so many core beliefs. There are beliefs like people always hurt me, people will always hurt me, people will always betray me, and they sabotage us. So what we do in the program is, last week when we were working on this, we dove quite deep into it. Guys were revealing a lot of their core beliefs, and it was a really good time. I enjoyed it. I'm still working on many of my faulty core beliefs. So let's wrap this up, okay? Faulty core beliefs, unfortunately, they last a lifetime unless you identify them, okay? And the big thing about that is, I'll tell you the worst part of faulty core beliefs when it comes to pornography addiction or sex addiction. Your core beliefs tell us something. Two things, really. The first is that you don't really want to change, okay? That is a very powerful core belief. That do you even want to do this, man? Because you keep slipping, you keep giving into this. Do you even want to change? And the second powerful core belief is, I can't change. I can't change my nature. I can't change this part of me. This is how your reboot is sabotaged, okay? And what I'm going to do in the next episode of this is kind of late here, is I'm actually going to show you how you can overcome these two powerful core beliefs. The first one being, I don't really want to change. And the second one being that I can't change. Okay. So stay tuned. I'm going to be releasing multiple podcasts every week. So the next one will be addressing this faulty core belief and how to change it. And listen, man, if you enjoy the podcast, but you're ready to take action, shameless plug, get on a call with me. There's a link to it in the description below the podcast. I know I keep saying that, but get on a call with me and actually speak to somebody who can guide you through the process. So many men are just listening to episode after episode. And then, you forget. That's the thing with pornography.
You think you're doing good. You only like pull up the podcast when you're like, man, I've really been in a relapse. I think I need to like, let me see if JK is still on. Let me see if it's still on my playlist. Let me see if I've downloaded it. Let's see if he has anything new. So maybe I can like get myself, revved up to like start my new fucking streak. Bro, just stop that. Working with me for 90 days is going to be worth everything that you've done on the podcast for the past 3 to 4 years. Literally, all the work you've done, just sitting down and being in our group, showing up for 20 minutes a day. All we need from you is 2 hours a week. That's 20 minutes a day. That's it. That's all you need to do for 90 days, and you're going to have full control of your behavior. That is it. So if you're ready to change your life, it is Q4 at the time of this recording, then book a call so that by the end of January, you are good to go. Okay? I'll see you in the next episode.
I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Porn Reboot podcast. I'll speak to you later on in the week. If you found this episode helpful, here are 4 ways I can help you with your out-of-control sexual behavior for free. The first way is to grab a free copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men at elevatedrecovery.org, or visit the link in the description below this episode. The second way is, if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, if you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals and business owners who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot Group on Facebook. There's a link to join in the description below this episode. The third way is if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally or emotionally, you're about to lose your relationship, you want to live up to your potential, be an authentic man, and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving, then click on the link in the description below this episode that says free coaching call. And the fourth way is to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy this podcast, so that we can reach more men who are struggling in silence and bring back the lessons we learn from coaching them to freedom.